Welcome to this 10-spot TMA interview. I'm Diana Peterson, President and CEO of AW Properties Global and a proud member of the TMA Chicago Midwest chapter. Today, I'll be interviewing Woodrow Broaders, Senior Vice President and Senior Relationship Manager for Associated Bank, a TMA Platinum sponsor. Woody, thank you for joining us and agreeing to be interviewed today.
My pleasure.
Tell us about Associated Bank and its history in the banking industry, if you would.
Real briefly, Associated's been around for about a little over 100 years. We're headquartered in Green Bay, Wisconsin, with major offices in Chicago, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis. We also have satellite offices in St. Louis, Cincinnati, I believe Cleveland, definitely Indianapolis and Detroit. So basically, as a bank, we pretty much predominantly lend in the Big Ten state area and in the middle market arena for the most part. So that's a little bit about the bank, but it's about a $35 to $36 billion bank at this point in time.
Great, thank you. And how about a little background on you professionally in the industry?
Background for myself, I've been with Associated now for almost 5 years. Prior to Associated, from a lending perspective, I spent 21 years with GE Capital. And while at GE, I started off being an asset-based lender, spent some time in what we called our merchant banking group. Our merchant banking group, ultimately at GE, we bought Heller, then we purchased Antares. We went to having a sponsor finance group. I spent time in the sponsor finance group. And from there, in 2008, 2009, when things got a little dicey in the banking industry, GE had a bank out in Utah. We had a bank out in Utah, and I went to work for this bank, and the bank funded pretty much all the ABL transactions for our corporate finance group and our sponsor finance group, and I was responsible for underwriting those transactions. So spent over, I don't know, almost 30 years, 25 years in the banking industry, and prior to that, on the lending side, prior to that, I started my career at Arthur Andersen, and at Andersen, I was in their financial services group. And the financial services group did audits of all banks, insurance companies, real estate firms. So had a pretty decent background in lending from the very beginning. The coolest thing about my career, that if anybody ever wants to have a talking point, when I left Andersen, I spent a little over a year, as manager of financial reporting for the Chicago Cubs. So that's the career.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So most banks have been very busy dealing with the impact of the pandemic, especially with the Paycheck Protection Program and SBA loan requests. How has Associated Bank pivoted to respond to the challenges that were presented by COVID-19?
From a pivot perspective, one of the first things that always comes to mind is that all the professionals, say like yourself and me, have been able to work from home all of a sudden now. So the pivot is that you find that folks are working from home, and it wasn't like it's a pivot, like you were not on the phone before, you're on the phone a lot more. So from that perspective, folks are at home. You had the PPP program, so to speak. We delve into that heavily and made sure that our customers were taken care of when the requests were made and the opportunities came about for the bank to participate in the program. So we participated in that fairly heavily. On an overall basis, I think you want to say that we're trying to operate as normal as possible. We are still lending. We're still in the process of putting out new funds for transactions. We've done like everybody else in terms of, I think, really hunkered down to deal with our portfolio issues, to make sure that we're on top of that and that we're talking to our customers and making sure that they're taken care of and what needs that they have there with regard to COVID-19 and with respect to, the hampering of their business. What can we do to help? But that's the real pivot. I mean, we're still in business. The pivot, I would say, is definitely everybody's working from home. And the pivot now is what was it? May 29th, we got to go outside again. So that's a big deal.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
So what do
it
you,
was May 29th, right? We all were running outside or, tried to find a restaurant that had, outdoor seating and, like I'm getting out of this house.
yeah, it's certainly been a challenge for everyone.
Right.
So in terms of the banking industry, what do you think the near future looks like?
The near future, that's a good question and one that makes you think. I think that if you were around 2008, 2009, and then you got 9/11, you kind of go back and think about those times and figure out how do we come out of that? Well, 2008, 2009 was that the banking industry was the one in trouble. And I don't think that we're the ones in trouble now. We're the ones that'll help. I kind of believe that as the country kind of comes out of, as we said, the coverings on May 29th for the state of Illinois, as we kind of move through that, we probably go another 2 months, a month or two, just trying to figure out where we are. And at that point in time, I think that we'll look to see what our customers' needs are. There'll probably be some restructures and restructures of transactions. There'll be others that where you'll find that they may need some more capital. There might have to be some injections from sponsors or someone, ownership, things of that nature. But from a banking perspective, I think that you'll really see the challenges come late third quarter, fourth quarter, where I think it'll really people will start to see what were the effects and what we need to do to help out existing customers and what possible potential exists for new customers. That's kind of what I think. I think that the overall impact, say, for like an ABL type structure is pretty positive in the near future. So from that perspective, we'll kind of see what happens. It's anybody's guess at this point in time, but I think that there's going to be opportunities in the next 4 to 5 months, and going forward, there'll continue to be some opportunities as we kind of see that we have some industries that we're concerned about. Will they ever come back, and where will they go? So.
I agree. So before we wrap up, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the TMA over the years and what makes TMA membership important to you?
I think the thing that makes TMA really important for me personally is that I get the opportunity to network with folks like yourself. There are others there that are not just, competitors, but you actually feel like they're colleagues. And so you could go to them and talk to them about what's going on in the market. What are you seeing? It gives opportunities for others out there from the turnaround management perspective. As you're talking to some of the turnaround firms, they know to look to you as to whether or not you can provide financing for the particular situation that they may be bringing to you. And just the overall relationships that you develop with the professionals that happen to be in the TMA, and being able to, like I said before, bounce off ideas and thoughts. And it's amazing that, you find that even your competitors are willing to help when you reach out and just ask. So I think that that's pretty important. So those are some of the takeaways from it, but it's been pretty good from that perspective for me. And the people that I've met there have become, some of them, lifelong friends.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience. It's great organization. Want to thank you again for joining me today and taking the time to give back to TMA even more. We appreciate everything that you do for the TMA, and want to thank you and Associated Bank for your platinum sponsorship.
Well, we thank you guys too, and thanks for giving me the opportunity at this point. Really appreciate it. And it's nice being on camera. And the only thing is I'm still in this damn basement stuck. So, all right.
Yep, and I'm in the third floor office.
We understand. We understand. Look, have a great day. Okay.
You too. Thank you again.
You're welcome.